If all you needed to do to achieve your goals was to follow a simple plan, a couple of, step 1, step 2, step 3, then everybody would be living their dream life. We know what to do oftentimes, but a lot of what is needed to achieve your goals is actually the mindset that you have. And that's the difference between someone who's a dreamer and someone who's a doer. Hi, I'm Chris LeBrun, your host of the Wholistic Productivity Podcast. As someone who's never been afraid of dreaming big and going for it all, I often find myself with a lot on my plate. I'm a husband and father, a nonprofit fundraiser, and an entrepreneur. What I've realized is my view of productivity was pretty toxic. After decades of believing that in order to do more, you had to work harder, I began to see productivity as this beautiful thing. Holistic productivity is the idea that you can accomplish your professional, personal, and purpose-driven goals in a healthy way, and doing so will make you happier and more fulfilled. Join me each week as we break down myths about productivity, share practical tips for maximizing your time, energy, and focus, and hear from others about their productivity journey. This is the Holistic Productivity Podcast. Hello and welcome. Thank you so much for being here for episode number 39 of the Holistic Productivity Podcast. Have a great episode for you today. I know I say that all the time, but I am just so excited about what we're going to go over today. Before we get into that, I want to ask you why you listen. It's maybe something you haven't really thought about before. Maybe you're asking yourself the same question. But there's a couple different things that come to mind for why you might listen to this. Is it because you're struggling to reach a goal and just looking for a boost, something to get you over that finish line? That could be one reason. Maybe you're starting out on a goal journey and you want to start on the right foot. You've seen the struggles before. You've had those challenges in the past, and this time you want to really start out strong. I know that we've got college students that listen. They're looking to go into the workforce soon, and so maybe they're trying to start out on that right foot. Maybe you're listening because we're friends and you want to support me or your family. Hi, Mom and Dad. I think you're listening. So whatever the reason is, just think about that for a moment. Now, I always talk about my desire, my reason for doing the podcast, and that's to help you dream big, plan smart, and live fully. And I hope that the reason that you listen or watch is aligned with the reason that I do the show, because that's where we're going to see the most impact in your life, in the things that you're trying to accomplish. And so I really hope that there is alignment with those two things, the reason why I do this and the reason why you listen. Now, today's episode, we talk a lot on the podcast about achieving goals and some of the practical ways that you can do that, the steps, the strategies, the tips and tricks. But today, I want to talk about more of the mental aspect of being a high achiever. If all you needed to do to achieve your goals was to follow a simple plan, a couple of, step 1, step 2, step 3, then everybody would be living their dream life. We know what to do. Oftentimes, we create a plan, we block out time for deep work, avoid distractions, and bingo, bango, bongo, you're a high achiever, right? But a lot of what is needed to achieve your goals is actually the mindset that you have, that you bring into all of these actions that you're going to do. And that's the difference between someone who's a dreamer and someone who's a doer. So today we're going to talk about mindset and look at 5 qualities that you will find in high achievers. These are the mindsets that they use behind somebody who is actually dreaming big, planning smart, and living fully. Now, I'll say right off the bat, you don't need all 5 of these mindsets. But as you'll see, some of them are connected and they build on each other. So let me introduce them. And then we'll go back and cover each one in more detail. So mindset number 1 is identity over goals. Number 2 is being comfortable with discomfort. Number 3 is having a mindset of patient urgency. Number 4 is ruthless prioritization. And number 5 is being more concerned with process over outcome. So let's dive into these and see what each one of them mean. Number 1, identity over goals. When we set goals, we often fail. We're coming up on New Year's here. We will see this. People will set New Year's resolutions or goals to get healthier. Maybe that's by eating better or going to the gym, or maybe they'll set a resolution or a goal to save more money. But then inevitably life happens and we don't go to the gym. We eat a bowl of ice cream at 11:30 at night, and poof, there go our resolutions to get healthier. The problem is that we're trying to accomplish new things while being the same person, and that is difficult. What we need is a new identity. I've talked about this before. Identity is a lot stronger emotion because it shapes behavior. What you need to say instead is, I'm an athlete. I'm a healthy eater. I'm a saver. I'm fiscally responsible. And when you become that new identity, you can start doing the things that that person does. I have used this several times in my own life. One most recently is with running. Is it enough to say that I want to run a half marathon? That's a goal. Now I have to train and stretch and eat right and have the right equipment, the right shoes. Okay. When I say that I am a runner, when I take on the identity of being a runner, all of those things are naturally what I do as that identity, as that runner. Using this identity mindset was fairly easy in the running space. Saying that I was now a runner. But it was something I struggled a lot more with in terms of taking on the identity of a productivity coach. I had the planner. I had developed the Holistic Productivity framework, and I was even teaching people to use it. I was teaching them how to live within this framework. But I didn't have the identity of a productivity coach. But when I started identifying as a coach, as a productivity coach, somebody who is teaching things to people and coaching them along the way, it completely changed my mindset. This is when I started the podcast. This is when I started and built the online community that we have on School. And this is when I started developing online classes, which you will hear more about soon. But it took me a while to identify and to be able to say to other people, I am a productivity coach. So what identity do you need to assume to be able to reach your goals? An author doesn't need inspiration. They just write all the time. They are writing. A musician practices and performs regularly. Somebody who's multilingual or a polyglot, they will practice other languages and speak them with frequency. So how do you make this switch from setting goals to embracing identity? It starts, honestly, with the language that you use about yourself. Instead of saying, I'm trying to be more consistent with exercise, say, I am someone who prioritizes physical fitness. Or go the next step and say, I am an athlete. Right? It may feel weird at first. You may feel even like a fraud. You may not want to speak it out loud or tell people. But here's the thing, and this is important. You're not claiming to be perfect. Every runner can grow and develop further. Every musician can continue to hone in on their skills. But the first step is identifying as a runner or as a musician. Then use small actions that you take every day as evidence that this is who you are. That means acknowledging all of your progress. You may have to remind yourself, I am a runner, I am a musician, but look for that behavior that you are doing that reinforces your new identity and hone in on. Let's pause here for a quick break. We'll be right back. If you've ever gone down the rabbit hole of trying every to-do list or project management app, you know how exhausting it can be. You download the app, you set it up, enter all your data, and then scramble to cancel it before the trial ends. Trust me, I've been there and it's no fun. That's why I love Efficient.app. Alex and Andra, a husband and wife team, have spent over a decade testing and reviewing software of all types so you don't have to. Calendars, project management, banking, planners, email marketing, you name it, they've covered it with honest reviews and side-by-side comparisons. And they don't sugarcoat it. If a tool isn't worth your time, they tell you straight up. I've personally found their reviews super helpful when I was trying to sort through different project management apps. It saved me a ton of time and frustration. Best of all, they often have special deals on the tools they recommend so that you can save money. I'm especially grateful to Efficient.app because they've been supporting the Holistic Productivity Podcast since the very beginning. The best way to check them out and support the podcast is through the link in the show notes. So next time you're looking for software, let Efficient.app do the work for you. Trust me, you will not regret it. Doing that. Okay. Mindset number 2, comfort with discomfort. High achievers have developed something that psychologists call distress tolerance. This is the ability to ignore that voice that tries to distract us with just one more thing before we sit down to work. It's getting that snack or checking the phone or even positive things like doing more research or checking our email. Now, if you have kids or have had kids, you've seen this play out in toddlers all the time at bedtime, right? Mommy, I need a drink. Daddy, can you tell me one more story? They are trying to put off going to bed. Distress tolerance is the ability to ignore that voice that says that you need something and instead keeps you focused on the task that you are doing. Discomfort is just a sensation. It's not a directive. This isn't about being superhuman, but high achievers have figured out that even though they still feel this resistance of boredom, anxiety, or forgetting to do something later, they can separate that feeling from the meaning or the action. And that's really what separates high achievers from everybody else. And when high achievers face challenges, they're comfortable in that space because they've faced discomfort before. They know that this is what you experience when you're trying to accomplish hard things. I talk about dreaming big and setting big goals. Why would we think that this comes easily or quickly? One thing I've learned in life is that the bigger the goal, the crazier the challenge, the more outrageous the outcome, the more roadblocks you are going to hit in trying to achieve that. So how do you develop this skill of distress tolerance? You literally have to learn to sit with discomfort so that you recognize the feeling or emotion. What does this mean? Maybe it's just having 10 minutes of focus with no distractions. And if that seems like an eternity, start with 5. Do whatever you can do and then move on from there. Remember, we need to expect the discomfort when we're going after our big goals. But when it comes, take time to observe the feeling. How did the discomfort present itself? Were you anxious? Were you bored? Were you restless? Were you motivated to switch tasks? Once you've acknowledged that emotion, try to continue working on what you are doing. And look, don't beat yourself up. There's no judgment here. Just observe the emotion or the trigger and then move back into your task. At first, you're going to be correcting your behavior a lot. That's okay. Don't get discouraged, but continue taking small steps forward toward ignoring the discomfort, and it will start to go away. Being able to recognize the feelings of distress and move forward regardless is actually empowering. It confirms that what you're doing is difficult, and that's because it's probably worthwhile and meaningful. This is the feeling of growth or progress. You're not ignoring or denying the discomfort, but you are reframing the meaning that it has. Okay? Now, we're going to look at mindset number 3, and that is having a patient urgency. This mindset helps you understand that you are playing a long game and that some moves that you're taking today won't pay off right away, but what you're doing will be powerful and impactful down the road. High achievers are willing to invest months learning a new skill or building a new system that will help them in the future because they're investing in the future, not in the present. This is the difference between day traders and long-term investors. Sure, you can make big money playing the short-term swings up and down in the market, but you can also get burned. One loss can spell disaster for you. A long-term investor, on the other hand, isn't fazed by setbacks or dips in the market. They can actually use those to create more growth, just like some of our short-term setbacks or failures can lead to learning that we can take into the future. Now, when it comes to your goals, this means looking past your goals for the week, the month, or even the year. You want to have long-term horizon goals of 3 to 5 years. This gives you the room to dream big without overwhelming yourself. And honestly, this is what makes some people uncomfortable. They're not used to setting this type of vision. I teach my coaching clients a whole system of how to create a 5-year horizon vision that is based on your values. But here's one practical exercise that you can do without a lot of training. It's really a 5-year projection. To do it, you just simply ask yourself regularly, if I keep doing exactly what I'm doing now, where will I be in 5 years? Not where do you hope to be, where do you want to be, but where you'll actually be based on your current trajectory. Now, this creates clarity about whether your daily behavior matches your long-term aspirations. This is a great question, even if you don't have a 5-year vision for your future, even if you don't know what you want to be when you grow up, so to speak. Because by projecting where you'll be in 5 years, all you have to do is then follow up by asking, is that something that really excites me? If you are in the same job, in the same relationship, in the same circumstances as where you are now, is that good enough? Or are you looking for more? Now, if you do know where you want to be in 5 years, you have that vision for your future. A great tool that you can use is the future self visualization. When facing a decision, imagine your 5 years from now self looking back. What choice would that person thank you for? And what choice would they regret you making today? Now, this isn't some vague positive thinking or, new age type of thing, right? It's a decision-making framework. Your future self doesn't care about the discomfort that you feel today. They care about whether or not you've laid the groundwork for the future. The more you deliberately expose yourself to long cycle activities, the more comfortable you become with them. So, plant a tree, start a retirement account, learn a language. The practice of engaging in activities where you won't see the full results for years can train your brain to value this idea of long-term Let's pause here for a quick break. We'll be right back. Living with pain is no fun at all. Whether it's sore muscles from a workout, nagging joints, or even stress that just won't leave you alone. That's why I love Little Golden Shepherd. They make all natural butters from organic herbs and essential oils, formulated to ease pain, reduce stress, and even soothe sensitive skin. I use the muscle butter after tough workouts, and the joint butter is perfect for my knees, which somehow were bad even when I was a kid. I'm so grateful to have Little Golden Shepherd sponsoring the Wholistic Productivity Podcast. The way they support the show is super simple. Every time you shop through the link in the show notes, a portion of your order helps keep this podcast going. And here's the best part. If you use the promo code WHOLEPROD, you'll save 15% on your first order. That's promo code WHOLEPROD, WHOLPROD. Try Little Golden Shepherd today. You're going to love it as much as I do, and your muscles will too. Thinking. All right, mindset number 4, we are talking about ruthless prioritization. This is perhaps one of the most misunderstood qualities or mindsets that high achievers have. Because here's the thing, high achievers aren't superhuman multitaskers who do everything. They're extremely disciplined about doing just a few things and letting everything else slide. Warren Buffett reportedly said to list off your top 25 goals, circle the top 5, and actively avoid doing the other 20 because they are just distractions masquerading as priorities. So what does this look like in practice? Well, it might mean that your email now has hundreds or thousands even of unread emails because email just isn't a priority today or next week or ever. Maybe it's saying no to social events that will take up valuable time. I know that I have cut back a lot on my TV viewing because it just gets in the way of accomplishing the goals that I want to do. And so when a buddy of mine was talking about, hey, have you seen this new show? I had to say, no, I haven't. And frankly, it's not really a priority for me right now. Another thing that you can do is ignore opportunities that are not aligned with your goals. So how do you develop this type of ruthless prioritization? One thing that you can do is to use a heck yeah or no principle to when it comes to new commitments. If something isn't a clear, enthusiastic heck yeah, then it's a no, right? It's black and white. This immediately filters out the mediocre obligations that clutter most people's lives. If you are not full out excited for something, you probably shouldn't do it. Another way to practice this ruthless prioritization is the 90% rule. This comes from Essentialism. And it says when evaluating an opportunity, if it's not a 90 out of 100, it's automatically a 0. Again, this prevents the accumulation of the 60 to 70% activities that seem reasonable in isolation, but collectively, they just dilute your effectiveness. For existing commitments, you may want to do a priority audit. And this is something that you can do from time to time, do it regularly. List everything that you're currently doing or trying to accomplish and force rank them. No ties, these are both kind of important. Then ask yourself, if you could only keep the top 3, which ones would you keep? Now look at everything below that line and say, why am I still doing this? Why am I still allowing this to take my time, my energy, my effort? Often the answer is guilt or fear or just plain inertia rather than genuine importance. And this is the hardest part of prioritization, accepting the consequences, because things will fall through the cracks. People might become disappointed. You might miss out on something that would have been really interesting. But high achievers have made peace with this because they know the alternative. Doing everything poorly is a lot worse than prioritizing the things that you are going to do with excellence. The final mindset that we're going to look at today is process over outcome. This is the mindset of focusing on inputs that you control rather than outputs that you don't. A salesperson with process trust doesn't evaluate their day based on whether they closed a deal. They evaluate it based on whether they made the calls that they needed to make to fill their pipeline so that they get a yes eventually. A writer doesn't judge their worth by whether they got published. They judge it by whether they wrote their words. Did they write enough words today? Were they producing enough content? Because typically the outcomes will take care of themselves if the process is sound. So why is this important? Well, it creates remarkable emotional stability. When you're outcome focused, every setback feels like a referendum on your ability or on your worth. When you're process focused, a setback is just data about whether the process needs alignment. It's much less personal and it's much more productive. So how do you develop this mindset? Well, the first step is identifying what process you actually believe in. You can't trust a process that you haven't defined or tested. If you want to be a successful podcaster, what do you believe the process is? Is it releasing weekly episodes? Is it spending X number of hours researching your topic? Or is it conducting a certain number of interviews every month? Get specific with this definition and talk to other people who are already high achievers in this area. Then create a tracking system that measures process adherence, not outcomes. In my example of a podcaster, you don't want to track your downloads or your reviews or even your sponsor deals. Those are lagging indicators that you can't control. But track whether you executed your process consistently with excellence. And this might feel strange at first because we're programmed to care about results, but the psychological relief is enormous. Also, practice detached evaluation of your outcomes. When the results come in, look at them with curiosity rather than judgment. If your podcast episode is underperforming, the question isn't, am I bad at this? It's, does this tell me anything about my process? Maybe it does. Maybe it doesn't. But you're treating the outcome as information about your process, not as a report card on your worth. Finally, celebrate process victories. When you stick to your writing schedule for a whole month, that's worth acknowledging, regardless of whether or not you get published. You're training your brain to derive satisfaction from doing the things that you control, not from the outcomes which you don't always control. So those are the 5 mindsets of high achievers. But here's the thing. These aren't binary traits that you either have or you don't have. They're skills, and they are built through small, repeated actions. And here's the kicker. You don't need to master all 5 of them simultaneously. Working on any one of them often makes the others easier because these are all interconnected. Someone who develops comfort with discomfort will naturally start playing the long game. It's very easy for them to do that. And someone who adopts process trust will find ruthless prioritization easier because they're not frantically chasing outcomes. So ask yourself, which one mindset shift would create the most leverage for me right now? Not all 5, just one. And as you grow these mindsets, watch how they change your ability to set and achieve big goals. So let's recap these and go over them one more time. The 5 mindsets that high achievers have are identity over goals, comfort with discomfort, patient urgency, ruthless prioritization, and process over outcome. Okay? That's it for the show today. Thank you so much for being here. Check out the show notes. We'll have links there. You can find that at holisticproductivity.com/39. If you are subscribed on your favorite podcast, you are one of my favorite people. That is the way that you get the next episode delivered directly to you on your podcast platform or on YouTube if you like watching the show. We drop new episodes on Tuesday, and when you subscribe, when you like, when you follow, you won't miss a single episode. Also, if you have liked the show and found it valuable, I would ask to rate the show. We love seeing 5 stars, but that just helps other people find this show and lets them know that it is valuable to somebody out there. Be sure to follow at Wholistic Productivity on Instagram, Facebook, Threads, Substack, YouTube, LinkedIn, all of the social media platforms. That's where you can get great motivation and productivity tips throughout the week. This is where we talk a lot about mindset. If you're trying to work on your mindset, definitely subscribe at Wholistic Productivity on your favorite social media platform. And join the productivity group on School. This is another fantastic way to look at mindset and become focused on the things that you need to do to take all those tools that you know you need to be doing and actually get them done. A lot of great resources on School. It's absolutely free. Link will be in the show notes. You can check that out there. Again, thank you so much for listening. As always, my goal with this podcast is to help you dream big, plan smart, live fully, and I hope that these mindsets will help you do that. Thank you so much for being here. We'll see you next time. Before I sign off, close your eyes for a minute, unless you're driving, but close your eyes and imagine this. It's Friday. You're excited for the weekend. TGIF, right? You're wrapping up the work week, getting ready to leave the office. But as you're walking out the door, you start to reflect on the week and you say, what did I even accomplish this week? It's a frustrating feeling and a horrible way to start your weekend. You know that you've worked hard all week, but you have little or nothing to show for it. If you've ever had these feelings at the end of your week, I have a special offer for you to help you on your productivity journey. I talk about it all the time. Being intentional with your time is one of the biggest parts of productivity. And one of the best ways you can be intentional is to plan your week. Planning your week provides clarity on your priorities. It eliminates confusion about what needs to be done, and it sets you on a path for success. Now, I've developed the perfect tool to help you plan your week. I call it my Sunday strategy, and I want to give you my Sunday strategy worksheet and guide absolutely free when you sign up for my weekly newsletter. The guide offers clear strategies for using the principles of holistic productivity to plan your week. You'll have a mindset shift away from the toxic aspects of productivity, and you'll get step-by-step directions for using the Sunday strategy worksheet. With my Sunday strategy, you only need 15 minutes each Sunday to plan out your entire week. It'll let you identify major projects and tasks that are coming up, assign those projects to specific days, and best of all, there are different sections for each area of your life: professional, personal, and purpose-driven, so you can reach all of your goals. My Sunday strategy worksheet also includes a weekly habit tracker to keep you focused on the habits that you want to develop. So if you want to avoid those Friday feelings of frustration and despair, you need my Sunday strategy worksheet. It's the perfect planning tool to help you build the winning strategy for your week. It's a resource you can come back to each day to keep you focused on reaching your goals, and it's an accountability tool to help you track your progress. Basically, it can help you have the most productive week ever. Like I said, it is completely free when you sign up for my weekly newsletter, which also features more strategies and tips to help you dream big, plan smart, and live fully. To get my Sunday strategy worksheet and guide, go to mysundaystrategy.com and sign up. That's mysundaystrategy.com. There will also be a link in the show notes. But again, mysundaystrategy.com. Look forward to having you back here for the next episode of the Wholistic Productivity Podcast.